Alright, welcome back. If you watch the first version of the videos we're doing here, Racing Mower Build Basics, this is the part 2. I got quite a bit of response from the first one, and people wanted to see the video of this machine getting finished. We put out the first video a week and a half or so ago, had a lot of responses, so thanks guys, everybody said it looked good. So I'm going to go ahead and indulge into finishing this project up on video also. I haven't done much since we ended the last video. I've pretty much mounted the body to this thing. Made some hood mounts, got the dash on. You can see I've started mocking up the steering wheel. I did change the fenders from what was on the first build. I put this set of fenders on. It seemed to work better with the seat. This machine's going to be for my wife to race with, and she liked this seat, and I just felt that these fenders would have looked better on here with what she wanted for a look. So I narrowed them up to get the 1 inch that is required by the organizations for the distance from the top of the fender to the lip above the tire. These typically come with about 3 inches of fender there. And just to give the machine a little more streamlined look and to get the bottom of the seat parallel with the top of the tires, that's what I did. Armor does not allow you to recess the seat down into the pan per se. You are allowed to put the seat there, but you can't have any jagged edges or anything like that. So we haven't got into the realm of actually cutting the seats into the pans and stuff like some of the other organizations. So with that said, I've got the rear bumper on this machine now since the last video, and I got the hole cut where the sprocket, which I actually have slid on the axle just for being able to take the measurements for how big it is, top and bottom, and where I need it to clear. I will slide that off and assemble it inside this slot when we actually put it together. I now have the brakes mocked up. I did an outboard brake system on this because I'm using 6-inch rims for the super stock class here. I have the room to put the brake caliper and parts out here externally. I can get at them easily, I can adjust them easily, and it's just much easier to work at. If I put them in the bottom of the tunnel, it's just a lot more work to get in there and keep them adjusted and stuff. So because I had the space, I mounted them out here. And like I said, bumper's on now, seats somewhat bolted in, fenders are somewhat bolted on. I'm going to sand down a little Bondo from where I slimmed down the fenders, and that's where we're going to go. At this point, I'm going to strip the body parts back off this, get it back down to the tunnel. I have done nothing underneath this machine yet as far as mounting the pedals, the clutch, belt guides, anything like that. So from here I'm going to, like I said, pull all the extremities off this. I'm going to flip it up and rest it on the rear bumper, and so it's standing upright where I can get at it. And I'm going to finish all the welding underneath and all those things today. Hopefully by this afternoon I'm going to actually be shooting some primer on this tunnel and getting it ready for paint. This thing has to be on the track 3 weeks from today. So that's where I'm at, and we'll be filming a little more today throughout the day, trying to get the rest of this. So stay tuned. This is the second episode today. I haven't got as much time in today as I had hoped when I had spoke earlier. Other stuff happens. Got this thing off the bench, got it flipped over, finished welding in my transmission plate, and dummied up a engine pan pulley, transmission bottom with the shaft and the pulley I'm using. This is an adjustable pulley for the super stock class for the 8-to-1 gear ratio. 6-inch pulley with the gears that I have set up for this works to get the 8-to-1. I can go through another whole video to do 8-to-1 setup, and maybe I will. Just have a couple of pulleys that are not in the greatest of shape on my clutch plate for now. Got a spring in here. Getting ready to do the pedals on this thing. And I need to bore a hole in the side of this to get a pedal for the clutch. And I'm only going to mount the pedal to the side of the box up here on the running board, because it just needs a pivot and a place to put your foot. The rod pulls on the master cylinder that's mounted on the side of the box. There's really no need to go through all the trouble to get through the running board on the brake side. This side I'm going to cut a hole in the running board to make a slot for the brake lever the clutch lever to move. It'll come through here. It'll have a lever that goes to the top. And I'm going to make my rod out of pretty simple parts here. It's a female rod end that's 3/8 fine thread, right hand thread. I put a bolt in there and I cut the head off. Put a bolt on the other one, cut the head off. If you go to Home Depot, you go to Tractor Supply, and most hardware stores have this 3/8 round tubing, 1/2 inch on the outside. Once you cut the head off this bolt, it slides inside. You slide it somewhat close to the threads, grind the zinc coating off the bolt a little bit, and you can just lightly weld that right on there. Makes a pretty quick rod, any length you want. That's why I'm going to make the rod that goes between my pedal mount and my clutch. As you can see, this isn't a real strong spring. I got really good wrap around my pulley, and it doesn't take much to disengage this belt. I don't need to move this thing more than 1 inch to get disengagement on the belt. Next thing I'm going to do on the next segment of this, you'll see some belt guides in here, some bolts welded onto this plate, some bolts welded up here. Up here I need to make something to catch the belt guides, because as you can see there's nothing there to weld to. So I'm going to be welding up there some pieces to get the bolts that hold or nuts that hold the bolts that are belt guides. So that's it for the moment, and I'll get the pedals in and get the belt guides in, and we'll go over a couple more things in a few minutes. Thanks. Welcome back to this should be installment 3 in this second video here. Spent a little bit of time now cleaning up the shop, obviously. Now you can see I got a little more room to work here. I had to get this thing on the floor, so got a couple machines out of here, some sawhorses, swept up the floor a little, give myself some room. Got back to what we discussed there a few minutes ago. I've cut the bar out that used to go all the way across here. Now gives me enough room to get all my parts in here. This is the rod that used to go all the way through the machine when it was new. We left it in there. I had the running boards all tight, and then I just welded the ends to the sides of the box and then cut them off. You can see I got the pulleys, the belt guides all in place now. This particular piece of steel, being cheap as I am, I used the piece that I cut out of the bottom of the box, and I strapped it across there to give myself some place to mount these bolts. As you can see, there was no place to weld them before with the hole. Excuse me. Belts in here now, the pulleys that I'm using, belt guides, like I said. Clutch is all in now. Again, being as cheap as I am, these brackets that I made are parts of the front piece where the front axle used to mount on. All I did was bore a couple holes out to 1/2 inch. This piece of rod right here is the piece that I cut out of here. This piece of tubing is a piece of the old mower deck tubing that used to be in this machine. So I reused and recycled some of the old pieces and brackets and stuff that were on this machine that we weren't going to use into the new pieces that we did use. Made up my link like I discussed out of the 2 bolts. I just tack welded them for the moment. I'll take it all out and weld it up solidly in a little while. I have the running board off. I'll notch the running board so that I can put it on. I'll cut this tube off, this piece of bar off, when I make my pedal that goes up through the running board. Put a little bit of spacer in there and got this all ready to go. So as you can see, it clutches and declutches. I'm going to add one more bolt over here just to help the belt pucker off the pulley a little bit. I see a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to make this clutch swing a ton. It's not necessary. Once that belt breaks the tension, all this belt has to do is pucker on this pulley a little bit. And once it gets worn a little bit, it'll come out as it is. The bottom pulley, the belt is in it quite a bit, so it's puckered off from there. As you can see, nothing's turning. It turns a little bit on the motor, but it's slipping, and you go down and it drives. So it doesn't take much to get everything to slip and work correctly. Once the belt runs a couple minutes, it's loose. The downside to the rod, the way that I made it here, I have 2 right-hand threads. There's no way to loosen a couple of jam nuts and just quickly adjust it in and out. I don't particularly find that a problem on most of my machines. Once I have the adjustment that I want, typically if there's a reason I have to move that, I've either bent or broke something, or the belt's just junk. I need a new belt. Once I get that length made, there's really no reason to change it. So if for some reason you have to change it, there's probably another issue in the length. Got my spring in place now. Not a lot of tension on there. Another common thing that people I see do, they put a ton of belt tension on stuff and they have belt problems. If you got belt slipping problems, you got to look at something else. You got either an alignment problem, you got idler pulley problems, you got some other issue going on that's not relative to the belt. I don't run a lot of belt pressure on even my higher horsepower machines. The wrap on this pulley right here is the most important, and I'm going to use a little bit bigger pulley than this when I'm all done. And that's really all you need. There will be a couple more smaller 1/4-inch bolts on each side of this. You can see the holes in there. They'll be threaded for 1/4-inch with a jam nut on there. I got some washers, fender washers, stacking my spacing right here. I will make a solid disc on the lathe and drill a hole in it so that that's a good solid pivot. And my next thing to do now would be make my pedals for the clutch and the brake up on top of this running board. And we're going to be pretty well done with the fabrication underneath this thing. I was hoping to have this ready to paint today. Cleaning the shop, running around, doing a couple odds and ends. Went and got some poles for the new racetrack we're building up in Lebanon, Maine. And so that took a little extra time out of my day. So tomorrow, Sunday, I will try to button this up and finish this video up and get it out there. And then we're going to do a third one that's going to be it at its first race. And we'll put the pressure on my wife, see if she can perform and get a win for everybody. But don't tell her I said that. So, peace out till the next one. Thanks. Well, as you can see from the last segment, we are actually at the racetrack. I finished this thing up Thursday night, loaded it in the trailer Thursday night right from the build table. No time on the ground. My wife just competed in her first heat race on it and got second place. Looked strong. She was right on the first place guy's butt. So we're going to go run the feature. Aaron's going to take a little pan around the machine, show you the finished product. We weren't able to get paint on it in time. Just had too much going on in my life with work and all that. Next time it hits the track, it will have metallic blue paint job. And like I said before, any questions, shoot them to us. And hopefully you enjoy the second part of this video. And we'll shoot one more segment at the end of the day, at the end of the weekend. We got another race tomorrow. And let everybody know how we did. So, thank you and stay tuned. This is the final segment to part 2 of the video here. We're at day 2 here, Limestone Valley out in New Lexington, Ohio. Last segment there I filled you in on yesterday. We came in second. I think there was 5 in the class. Today, some guys went home, didn't show up. Only a couple people left in the class. But we pulled out the first place today with the feature win. Due to a RPM technicality, the guy who actually won was over in RPMs. That's part of this class. Our next video will be how to tell which classes are what, so stay tuned. We'll do a new one in the future on that. But for today, this is the culmination of the how to build a prepared chassis from MP Mower Sports. My beautiful wife over here is the winner today, and we got our feature winner sticker here on the side of the seat. So Aaron, do a little pan around of my wife and the sticker and the whole machine, and that'll be the end of it. So thanks for watching. Comment, contact me if you have any other questions. Thanks.